Hi and welcome to week 4 of the ITESOFT Insider View. My name's Alan Brown. I've been running this series for ITESOFT and the Insider View session. We've started this off, and this session is all about the 5 things that you need to remember when you are detailing your AP process. Week 1 was all about, have you defined the ownership of the process steps in a clear and explicit way. Week 2 was about how do you handle invoice discrepancies and detailing that side of things. Week 3 is, do you receive multiple purchase invoices and why? And how do you detail that side of things? And this session we're going to be talking about, can you give an exact percentage split on your invoice formats? And how do we detail this, and why is that important? So, why is that important? Well, fundamentally, businesses are becoming and seeing an increase in the number of invoices that they receive by email. In some cases, it could be 80+% of their invoices are actually coming in by email. And that could be coming into a centralised email box. It may well be that they are, in some cases, still split and going to individuals within the organisation. So, when that's happening, and for most of these organisations, there's still a huge range of different formats and structures that they're receiving their invoices in. Whether they're PO or non-PO is completely, in this case, irrelevant. But just as a quick run through, some of the formats that you can get: PDF, surprise, surprise. That's probably the top one that most organisations get. But strangely enough, they do get them as JPEGs, i.e. pictures. Sometimes they will get them as TIFFs. And these will normally, and there's lots of other formats around that, but these are normally as part of email attachments that they're going to get them as. So that's great. A lot of organisations will be able to give a reasonably good split on that side of things, but I know there are organisations out there that also get the invoice within the body of the email. Some people would argue the toss with me about that one and what format and structure it is, but it is what it is. Another one which tends to be the other most common one is paper. Still is paper. And then we come into some other more interesting aspects that certainly has been grabbing the headlines over the last 2-3 years. So EDI, or business-to-business exchanges. And there are a number of them that are out there that deal with this side of things. And there are, as part of that, online supplier portals that are certainly making ground in the marketplace at the moment. And why is this important for organisations? And why is it more important for yourselves when, let's come back to what this is about. This is about detailing your current AP process. There's a working assumption that, certainly if you're looking at these videos, that at some point you're looking at, how do we automate some of this? It may well be that you go, well, how do we just standardise what we're doing and how we're doing things? But let's assume that we're going to go down the route of a level of automation. So most organisations that I go into and speak with and go through this process of detailing the AP process or the P2P process in a very explicit way, so that it's written down and can be shared with others, is done for a variety of reasons. And most organisations are not able to commit to what is this exact percentage split that we're talking about here on invoice formats. It's always done as, well, it's about, my gut feel is, or let me go off and speak with someone else and try and find out some of that information. And it's very much try and find out, because they don't actually know it. So, it tends to be more of a bit of a blurry in the background. It happens, we know it happens, but we don't really need to deal with it. Well, the exact split is really important to understand because of the current impact it has in your AP team or across your finance team, depending on how you're split. And therefore, what are the benefits of automating the format types that you have on your invoices? So, for instance, there are a lot of organisations, and there are especially some public sector organisations that are suggesting or have told me they are no longer accepting invoices coming in by email because they're printing these emails off. And there's a time and cost associated with doing that, which is at their end as the time and the cost for doing it. Whereas if it comes in by paper and they continue to receive it by paper, hey, guess what? They don't have the cost of printing, they don't have the cost of the toner, they don't have the cost of the printer contract, etc., because they're going through less from printing it off themselves. They already have, in a lot of cases, a post room in place, so actually then dealing with the post and some of the issues there, it's not their cost directly, therefore let them deal with it. So taking that to the automation side of things, just because you can then structure a centralized email box, which is invoices at whatever it is, it could be invoices at ITESOFT.com, for instance, or accounts payable invoices at etc., and you can therefore centralize where all your invoices are coming in from, or coming into even. How do you get a system that will actually pull a PDF invoice through and process that? And we'll come into process in a minute. How do you get something that will say, well, it's a Word document, and I've seen this, a PowerPoint document that's coming in as an invoice, and processing that side of things. So the ability for you to be able to have an understanding of what your split is on the type of formats that you're getting for your invoices is important, because it feeds into your business case about where the problem area is, and understanding the problem area and what the impact and the cost associated to that problem area at the very start of it is really important, because is that really a good use of your AP team's time? Is it a really good use of your AP team's skills? And is that really what you want them to be doing in the future? So assume you put automation in place, but you haven't dealt with your different invoice formats and how to process automatically from that structure. Well, it's still manual. It may be slightly better, but it's still manual. So being able to have a system in place that allows you, when you're considering the automation, or it may even be one of the most important things that you deal with as part of your automation, how do we capture a document? How do we standardize a document into the format that you want internally? And more importantly, how can you then process that? And when I say process, we're talking about data extraction and validation techniques. How do you process that so that regardless of the format type that's coming in, and by the way, can you predict what the future is going to be? I can't. So I don't know what some of the newer formats are going to be. So being future-proof from that point of view is really important, because when you can go, we can process any of this, it's really the key to being able to achieve the highest levels of automation into your organisation at that stage, and you're much more likely to be able to achieve the business case that you're looking for. So what might have started off as a bit of an innocuous question about invoice formats and not really having thought about it, really understanding the impact of that, especially from the output of what that does in terms of how quickly can you get an invoice into and registered at least on your system, which can now be potentially minutes rather than days or weeks in a lot of cases, then actually has a huge impact. So there are lots of questions here that I've left you guys to take back into the business, to take back to your AP teams to talk about, and to get their feedback on where you're looking for. The key thing that I want you to remember about this is when you're looking at, even if it's standardization of your process, but when you're also looking at automation into how can you improve things, how can you get efficiency, how can you get a really effective system, is how can you automatically pull from an email capture solution that processes the data extraction and the data validation out of your attachments in a very simple and easy way of operating. Guys, I'd love to hear your feedback on what your thoughts are, any other questions that you might have about this. Have a great day and look forward to speaking with you soon. Thank you.